Jake Harrison pressed his face against the cold glass of the observation deck. The massive alien ships looked like floating cities in the sky. They moved slowly through Earth's blue atmosphere, casting dark shadows on the ground below. Jake had been watching space for 20 years, but he had never seen anything like this. The ships were beautiful in a scary way. They had smooth silver sides that reflected the sunlight like mirrors. Each ship was at least 3 miles long. Jake counted 12 of them floating above different parts of Earth. One hovered over New York. Another sat above London. The biggest one positioned itself right over the Pacific Ocean. Jake picked up his radio and called the control room. "This is Commander Harrison. Are you getting readings on these ships?" "Yes, sir," came the reply from Lieutenant Brady. "They're massive. Our computers can't even measure their full size. They're not showing any weapons, but they're definitely scanning us." "Scanning for what?" "Everything, sir. Population, resources, military installations. They're mapping every inch of the planet." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. He had spent his whole career protecting Earth from space threats, but this was different. These ships weren't asteroids or solar flares. They were controlled by intelligent beings with unknown intentions. Down on Earth, Lisa Carter hurried through the halls of the diplomatic center in Geneva. She had been chosen as Earth's lead negotiator because she spoke 7 languages and had dealt with difficult international situations before. But nothing had prepared her for this moment. The main conference room had been cleared and set up with new equipment. Banks of computers lined the walls, all connected to translation programs that scientists had been working on for decades. Lisa had always wondered if they would ever need to talk to aliens. Now she knew the answer. "Ambassador Carter," called Dr. Kevin Morris, the head of the science team. "We're receiving a transmission. They want to talk." Lisa took a deep breath and sat down at the main console. On the screen in front of her, static cleared to reveal a face that made her heart skip a beat. The being was tall and thin, with skin that looked like it was made of pale glass. She could see veins running beneath the surface. It had 4 arms and large dark eyes that seemed to look right through her. "Greetings, primitive species of Earth," the alien said. Its voice was strange, like wind blowing through metal pipes. "I am speaking for the Zephyrion Collective. We come bearing the gift of protection." Lisa tried to keep her voice steady. "Welcome to Earth. I am Ambassador Lisa Carter. We are honored by your visit." The alien's expression didn't change. "Honor is not necessary. We are here on business. Your world has been deemed strategically valuable by the Galactic Council. We offer our shield against the dangers of the galaxy." "What kind of dangers?" Lisa asked. "The cosmos is filled with threats that destroy lesser civilizations. Asteroid impacts that wipe out entire continents. Solar flares that burn away atmospheres. Hostile species that consume weaker races. Resource depletion that leads to planetary death. We have protected 17 worlds from these fates." Lisa felt her stomach tighten. Something about the way the alien spoke bothered her. It sounded like a speech that had been given many times before. "That's very generous of you. What would this protection involve?" "We will station our fleet in your system. We will manage your resources to prevent waste. We will relocate your population to safer areas. We will handle all threats to your survival." "Relocate our population?" Lisa asked. "Where would we go?" "To designated areas where you can be properly cared for. Your current distribution is inefficient and dangerous." Lisa looked at Dr. Morris, who was frantically typing on his computer. He held up a sign that read, "Keep them talking." "Need more information." "This is a big decision," Lisa said. "Our leaders will need time to consider your offer." The alien's skin shifted to a darker shade. "Time is a luxury that unprotected worlds do not possess. We require an answer within 7 of your rotations." 7 days? Correct. After that period, we cannot guarantee your safety. The transmission ended, leaving Lisa staring at a blank screen. She turned to Dr. Morris. "What do you think?" "I think we need to call the president immediately," he replied. In Washington. President Daniel Rodriguez sat in the Oval Office with his top advisors. The room was filled with tension as they discussed the alien arrival. Defense Secretary Maria Gonzalez had been reviewing intelligence reports all morning. "Mr. President," she said, "our satellites have been monitoring their ships. They're not positioned defensively. They're arranged in a control pattern." "What does that mean?" the president asked. "It means they're not here to protect us from outside threats. They're positioned to control us." General Robert Hayes, a man who had served in 3 wars, spoke up. "Sir, I've seen this before. When someone offers you protection without you asking for it, they're usually the thing you need protection from." President Rodriguez rubbed his temples. "What do we know about these 17 worlds they claim to have protected?" "That's what worries me," said Dr. Morris, who had flown in from Geneva. "We've been trying to contact other civilizations for decades. If there are 17 protected worlds out there, why haven't we heard from any of them?" The president looked around the room. "What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting that maybe these protected worlds aren't able to communicate anymore," Dr. Morris said quietly. Captain Susan Blake had been listening to the conversation from her position near the door. As head of Earth's Space Defense Initiative, she had been studying the alien ships through every telescope and sensor available. "Mr. President, I've been analyzing their fleet composition. These ships have massive energy weapons. If they're here to protect us, who are they planning to use those weapons on?" "Maybe they're for defense," suggested one of the advisors. "No, sir," Captain Blake replied. "I've been in the military for 15 years. I know the difference between defensive and offensive weapons. These are built for attack." The president stood up and walked to the window. He could see one of the alien ships in the distance, hanging in the sky like a dark cloud. "So what you're all telling me is that these aliens aren't here to help us?" "That's exactly what we're telling you," General Hayes said. "They're here to take over, and they're being polite about it." "For now," added Captain Blake. The president turned back to his advisors. "What are our options?" "We could agree to their terms," suggested the Secretary of State. "Maybe their protection is real." "Or we could refuse," said Defense Secretary Gonzalez. "But that might mean war." "There's a third option," said Captain Blake. "We could pretend to consider their offer while we prepare for the worst." "Prepare how?" the president asked. "We've been working on defensive technologies in secret for years. Project Fortress has been developing new weapon systems based on theoretical alien encounters. Maybe it's time to see if our theories work." "General," Hayes nodded. "We've also been training special forces units for unconventional warfare. If these aliens think we're primitive, maybe we can use that to our advantage." President Rodriguez made his decision. "Contact Ambassador Carter. Tell her to keep the negotiations going. Ask lots of questions. Make them think we're interested, but need more information. And if they get impatient," asked Dr. Morris, "then we'll find out just how primitive they think we are," the president replied. As the meeting ended, everyone filed out of the Oval Office except for General Hayes. He approached the president's desk. "Sir, there's something else you should know. These aliens made one big mistake." "What's that?" "They assumed we'd be grateful for their protection. But humans have been fighting for survival since the beginning of time. We've never needed anyone to protect us before." The president looked out the window at the alien ship again. "Then let's make sure we don't start now." High above in the Zephyrian flagship, the alien commander studied the data streaming in from Earth. The planet was rich in resources and had a large population that could be put to work. The humans seemed primitive but curious, asking many questions about the protection offer. This was going exactly as planned. In 7 days, the humans would accept protection, and Earth would become the 18th world in the Zephyrian collective. The commander had done this 17 times before, and it always ended the same way, but as the aliens studied the human responses, something felt different. The questions weren't just curious, they were probing. These humans were investigating. Not just wondering, the commander dismissed the thought. After all, what could a primitive species do against the might of the Galactic Council? The humans would accept protection, or they would be protected by force. Either way, Earth would soon belonged to the Zephyrian Collective. Dr. Kevin Morris hadn't slept in 3 days. His eyes burned as he stared at the computer screen, trying to decode the alien data streams. The Zephyrian ships were constantly transmitting information, and his team had managed to intercept some of it. What they found made his blood run cold. The translation software was still primitive, but it was good enough to understand the basics. The aliens were cataloging everything on Earth: population numbers, resource locations, military bases, industrial centers. They even had detailed maps of major cities with population density marked in different colors. "Dr. Morris," called his assistant, Jenny Walsh, "you need to see this." Kevin walked over to her workstation. On her screen was a partial translation of what appeared to be a report. The words made his stomach turn. Species classification: Homo sapiens. Population: 8.2 billion. Labor potential: high. Resistance probability: low. Recommended pacification method: Standard Protocol 7. "What's Protocol 7? Kevin asked. Jenny's fingers flew across the keyboard. "I'm not sure, but I found references to it in other transmissions. It seems to be their standard procedure for taking control of a planet." Kevin felt sick. "Show me what else you found." For the next hour, Jenny showed him fragments of alien communications. The pieces painted a horrifying picture. The Zephyrians had detailed plans for Earth's future. Humans would be moved to designated areas that looked suspiciously like prison camps. Earth's resources would be stripped and sent to other worlds. The planet would become a factory, and humans would be the workers. "We need to get this to the president immediately," Kevin said. Meanwhile, Captain Susan Blake was leading a secret mission 200 miles above Earth. Her team had launched in a stealth shuttle, using technology that made them invisible to most sensors. They were approaching the nearest Zephyrian ship to gather intelligence. "Visual contact," reported Lieutenant Amy Patterson, Blake's second in command. "The ship is even bigger than we thought." Through the shuttle's windows, they could see the alien vessel up close. It was massive, with strange symbols carved into its silver surface. Weapon ports lined its hull like angry eyes. Energy readings showed that these weapons were more powerful than anything humans had ever built. "Are you recording this?" Blake asked. "Every second," replied Sergeant Mike Davis, the team's technical expert. "But Captain, look at this. The weapons aren't just pointed outward. Some of them are aimed down at Earth." Blake studied the readings on her screen. "They're not here to protect us from other aliens. They're here to protect other aliens from us." "What do you mean?" asked Patterson. "Think about it. If you were going to invade a planet, you'd want to make sure the local population couldn't fight back. You'd position your weapons to control them, not to defend them." The team spent 2 hours circling the alien ship, taking pictures and measurements. What they discovered was worse than they had feared. The Zephyrian fleet wasn't arranged for protection at all. It was arranged for invasion. "Each ship is positioned over a major population center," Blake reported to her team. "They can strike any target on Earth within minutes." "Captain," called Davis from his sensor station, "I'm detecting some kind of scanning beam. It's mapping our military installations?" Blake felt anger rising in her chest. "They're not just cataloging our cities. They're identifying our defenses so they can destroy them." Back on Earth, President Rodriguez was meeting with world leaders through secure video links. The conversation was tense as each leader shared what their intelligence services had discovered. "The Russian satellites have detected massive energy buildup in their weapons," reported President Viktor Petrov. "These are not defensive systems." Prime Minister Helen Carter of the United Kingdom added, "Our codebreakers have intercepted some of their communications. They're discussing something called harvest schedules and labor allocation." "Labor allocation?" asked President Rodriguez. "They're planning to use us as workers," replied Premier Li Wei of China. "My scientists have been analyzing their ship designs. They have massive cargo holds that could transport millions of people." The German Chancellor Klaus Weber looked grim on his video screen. "We've seen this before in human history. The strong prey on the weak using the promise of protection." So what do we do? Asked President Rodriguez. We prepare for war, said President Petrov, but we do it in secret. Can we win? Asked Prime Minister Carter. General Hayes, who had been listening to the conversation, spoke up. Maybe these aliens are technologically superior, but they're making one big mistake. What's that? Asked the president. They think we're primitive. They're not expecting us to fight back. While the world leaders talked, Ambassador Lisa Carter was having another conversation with the Zephyrian representative. This time she was asking more detailed questions about their protection offer. Tell me more about the 17 worlds you've protected, she said. The alien's expression remained unchanged. They are safe and productive under our care. Can we speak to representatives from these worlds? That is not necessary. We speak for them now. Lisa felt a chill. What happened to their original governments? Self-governance is inefficient. We provide superior administration, and their populations? Relocated to maximize productivity and safety. Lisa chose her next words carefully. Where exactly were they relocated? The alien skin shifted to a darker shade. To designated areas where they can contribute to galactic prosperity? Can they leave these areas? Why would they want to? They are provided with shelter, food, and purpose. Lisa realized she was talking to someone who saw humans as property to be managed. What if Earth prefers to manage its own affairs? That would be unfortunate, the alien replied. Unprotected worlds face many dangers. Sometimes those dangers come from within. The threat was clear. Lisa kept her voice steady. We'll need more time to consider your generous offer. Time is limited. You have 4 rotations remaining. When the transmission ended, Lisa immediately called Dr. Morris. Kevin, I need you to find out what happened to those 17 worlds. I don't think they're protected. I think they're prisoners. That night, Dr. Morris and his team worked harder than ever to decode the alien transmissions. What they found in the Zephyrian databases made everyone in the room go silent. The 17 protected worlds were listed in the alien files, but not as allies. They were listed as resource extraction sites and labor facilities. Each world had detailed records of population transfers, resource shipments, and production quotas. Look at this, whispered Jenny Walsh. World designation ZC7, original. Population, 2.3 billion. Current population, 340 million. Status, mining operation. What happened to the other 2 billion people? Asked another team member. Kevin scrolled through more files. Some were relocated to other worlds as workers. Others, he paused, his face pale. Others were classified as non-essential and eliminated. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what they were looking at. The Zephyrian Collective wasn't protecting worlds. They were strip mining them. We need to get this to the president. Right now, Kevin said. At the same time, Captain Blake's team was returning from their reconnaissance mission. They had gathered enough evidence to confirm everyone's worst fears. The alien ships are weapons platforms, Blake reported to General Hayes. They're not here to protect us. They're here to conquer us. What's our next move? Asked the general. We activate Project Fortress, Blake replied. It's time to show these aliens what happens when you threaten humanity. In the depths of secret military bases around the world, systems that had been dormant for years began to power up. Weapons that had been developed in secret started their activation sequences. Soldiers who had trained for scenarios that seemed impossible began to prepare for the fight of their lives. The aliens had made a critical error. They had assumed that humans would be grateful for protection. They had assumed that humans would go quietly into slavery. They had assumed that humans would not fight back, but humans had been fighting for survival since the beginning of time. They had faced ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters. They had never needed protection from the galaxy because they had been too busy protecting themselves from each other. The Zephyrian Collective was about to learn that the most dangerous thing in the galaxy wasn't some external threat. It was a species that had spent its entire existence learning how to fight for its Freedom DOP. As the alien ships continued their scans of Earth, they detected no significant military buildup. The humans appeared to be considering the protection offer peacefully. Everything was going according to plan, but deep beneath the surface, in hidden bunkers and secret facilities, humanity was preparing for war. The aliens had promised protection, but they were about to discover that Earth didn't need protection from the galaxy. The galaxy needed protection from Earth. And in 3 more days, the aliens would get their answer to their protection offer. It would not be the answer they expected. The countdown to humanity's response had begun. The breakthrough came at 3 in the morning. Dr. Rachel Morgan had been working with Kevin Morris's team for 36 hours straight, trying to crack the deepest layer of Zephyrian communications. When the translation program finally worked, she wished it hadn't. "Kevin, you need to see this," she called across the lab. Kevin rushed over to her workstation. On the screen was a complete alien communication, translated into perfect English. The words made his hands shake. Operational Report Z, C80N, Earth Classification. Population Analysis complete. 8.2 billion specimens suitable for labor extraction. Estimated pacification timeline. 6 months using standard suppression protocols. Recommendation: initiate harvest procedures immediately following acceptance ceremony. Harvest procedures? Kevin whispered. Rachel scrolled down to show more of the message. It gets worse. Look at this section. The next part of the communication was even more chilling. Earth's population shows higher than average aggression markers. Recommend immediate separation of military and civilian populations. Military personnel should be processed for elimination. Civilian population to be relocated to designated work facilities on mining worlds ZC3, ZC-7, and ZC-12. Kevin felt sick. They're planning to kill everyone in the military and turn the rest of us into slaves, Rachel added. Look at this part about children. The final section made Kevin's blood run cold. Juvenile specimens under 12 years will be relocated to education facilities for behavioral modification. Specimens over 12 will be processed for immediate work assignment. Estimated useful lifespan, 15 to 20 years. Kevin grabbed his phone and called President Rodriguez directly. "Mr. President, we need an emergency meeting, right now." An hour later, the president sat in the Situation Room with his top advisors. The faces around the table were grim as Kevin presented his findings. "They're not here to protect us," Kevin said. "They're here to harvest us, like cattle." Defense Secretary Maria Gonzalez studied the translated documents. "How many people are we talking about?" "According to their plans, they'll kill about 200 million people immediately. That's everyone in the military, police, and government. The rest will be shipped off to work on alien worlds until they die." General Hayes slammed his fist on the table over my dead body. "That's exactly what they're planning," Kevin replied quietly. President Rodriguez looked around the room. "How much time do we have?" 2 days, Kevin answered. "They expect us to sign their protection agreement in 2 days. If we don't, they'll take us by force. Can we beat them?" asked the president. General Hayes spoke up. "Maybe, but we need to hit them hard and fast. If we give them time to react, we're finished." Captain Blake had been listening from her position near the door. "Mr. President, I've been studying their fleet positions. They're confident, maybe too confident. They've spread out their ships to cover more area, but that makes them vulnerable." "Vulnerable how?" "If we can take out their command ship, the others might lose coordination. It's a risk, but it's our best chance." The president made his decision. "General Hayes, activate all our secret defense projects." "Captain Blake, prepare your teams for combat. We're going to show these aliens what happens when you threaten humanity." While Earth's leaders planned their response, Ambassador Lisa Carter was having what she knew would be her final conversation with the Zephyrian representative. This time, she was ready with hard questions. "I've been thinking about your protection offer," she said. "Before we make a decision, I'd like to know more about what happened to the governments of those 17 worlds you protect, the aliens." Expression remained neutral. "They were inefficient. We provided better leadership. Were they given a choice? Choice is irrelevant when survival is at stake. Lisa felt her anger rising, but she kept her voice calm. And their populations? Are they happy under your protection? Happiness is not a priority. Productivity and safety are what matter. Can they leave your protection if they want to? The alien's skin shifted to a darker shade. Why would they want to leave safety? But could they if they wanted to? The question is meaningless. Protected populations do not have such desires. Lisa realized she was talking to someone who saw free will as a disease to be cured. What if Earth chooses to remain independent? Independence is an illusion. You will accept our protection, or you will face the consequences of an unprotected world. What consequences? Hostile forces in the galaxy prey on unprotected worlds. Sometimes those forces come from within the world itself. The threat was clear now. Lisa kept her voice steady. Are you threatening us? I am explaining reality. Your world will be protected. The only question is whether you will cooperate with the process. When the transmission ended, Lisa immediately called the president. Sir, they're not even pretending anymore. They're going to take us whether we agree or not. That evening, President Rodriguez addressed the nation on live television. His speech was also broadcast to the Zephyrian fleet. My fellow Americans and citizens of Earth, he began. 3 days ago, an alien fleet arrived at our planet. They offered us protection from the dangers of the galaxy. Today, I want to share with you what we've learned about their true intentions. The president's words were calm but firm. These beings are not here to protect us. They are here to enslave us. They have done this to 17 other worlds. Billions of people have been killed or enslaved by these so-called protectors. He paused, looking directly into the camera. They have given us an ultimatum. Accept their protection or face the consequences. Well, I have a message for them and for any other alien species that might be listening. The president's voice grew stronger. Humanity has faced extinction before. We have survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters. We have never needed protection from the galaxy because we have been too busy protecting ourselves from each other. We have spent our entire history learning to fight for our freedom. He stood up from his desk. You want to know what we need protection from? Nothing. The real question is, what does the galaxy need protection from? You're about to find out. The speech was transmitted to every nation on Earth and broadcast into space. Within hours, every human on the planet knew what was coming. Instead of panic, something else spread through the population. Determination. In military bases around the world, soldiers prepared for battle. In research facilities, scientists worked frantically to complete weapons that had been theoretical just days before. In homes and schools, ordinary people prepared to defend their families and their freedom. The aliens had made a critical miscalculation. They had assumed that humans would be grateful for protection. They had assumed that humans would go quietly into slavery. They had assumed that humans were like the other 17 species they had conquered, but humans were different. Humans had spent their entire existence fighting for survival. Every war, every struggle, every hard-won victory had prepared them for this moment. In the Zephyrian flagship, the alien commander was growing impatient. The humans were taking too long to make their decision. It was time to apply more pressure. Send a message to the human leaders, the commander ordered. Tell them they have until tomorrow to accept our protection. After that, we will provide protection whether they want it or not. The message was transmitted to Earth within minutes. The response came back just as quickly. President Rodriguez appeared on screen, but this time he was not alone. Behind him stood representatives from every major nation on Earth, military leaders, scientists, diplomats, and ordinary citizens filled the room. We have received your ultimatum, the president said. Here is our response. He looked directly at the alien. Commander, humanity rejects your protection. We reject your authority. We reject your threats. If you want to enslave us, you'll have to fight us for it. The president paused, then continued. But before you make that choice, let me tell you something about the human species. We are not like the other worlds you've conquered. We are not peaceful farmers or gentle philosophers. We are survivors, we are fighters, we are warriors who have spent 10,000 years learning to kill anything that threatens our freedom." The room behind him erupted in agreement. Voices from every nation on Earth could be heard shouting their defiance. "You promised us protection," the president continued. "But we don't need protection from the galaxy. The galaxy needs protection from us. And if you attack our world, you'll discover why we've spent our entire history preparing for war." The transmission ended, leaving the alien commander staring at a blank screen. For the first time in its long career of conquest, the Zephyrian felt something it had never experienced before: doubt. The humans had not begged for mercy. They had not tried to negotiate. They had declared war on the most powerful military force in the galaxy. The commander activated the fleet's communication system. "All ships, prepare for combat operations. The humans have chosen resistance. Initiate." Protocol 7. But as the alien fleet prepared for what they expected to be a quick victory, they had no idea what they were about to face. Humanity had spent its entire existence learning to fight for its freedom. Now, for the first time, all of humanity was united against a common enemy. The battle for Earth was about to begin. The first sign that Earth was not helpless came at dawn. As the sun rose over the Pacific Ocean, the water began to ripple. Something massive was rising from the depths. Captain Susan Blake stood on the bridge of the EDS Defiance, humanity's first space warship. For 5 years, it had been hidden beneath the ocean, waiting for a moment like this. Now, as it broke the surface and engaged its anti-gravity engines, Blake felt a surge of pride. "All systems online, Captain," reported Lieutenant Amy Patterson. "Weapons charged and ready." "Communications. Contact the fleet," Blake ordered. Around the world, similar ships were rising from hidden locations, from underground facilities in the mountains, from deep ocean trenches, from secret bases on the far side of the moon. Humanity had been preparing for this day longer than anyone knew. Admiral Patricia Young watched from her command center as the hidden fleet assembled. 50 ships, each one built using technology that Earth's best scientists had developed in secret. They weren't as advanced as the alien vessels, but they had something the aliens didn't expect: human ingenuity. "Ma'am, all ships report ready," announced Commander Jeff Brown. "Send the message to all vessels," Admiral Young said. "Today we fight for our freedom. Today we fight for our children. Today we fight for Earth." In the Zephyrian flagship, alarms began blaring. The alien commander stared at his screens in disbelief. Where moments before there had been a defenseless planet, now dozens of warships were rising to meet them. How was this possible? The commander demanded. "Our scans showed no significant military technology." "Sir, the humans were hiding their ships," reported a subordinate. "Our sensors could not detect them." The commander's skin darkened with anger. "No matter. We still outnumber them. All ships begin the attack. Show these primitives the price of resistance." The Zephyrian fleet moved into attack formation. Their ships were larger and more powerful than anything Earth had built. Energy weapons that could destroy cities began charging. The aliens expected a quick victory. They were wrong. The first human ship to fire was the AIDS Liberty, commanded by Captain Ryan Torres. Instead of energy weapons, the ship launched something the aliens had never seen before: kinetic projectiles, chunks of metal. Accelerated to incredible speeds by magnetic fields, the projectiles struck the nearest Zephyrian ship like meteors. The alien shields, designed to stop energy weapons, were useless against solid matter, moving at thousands of miles per second. The ship's hull cracked and atmosphere began venting into space. "Direct hit," shouted Lieutenant Patterson from the Defiance. "Their shields can't stop our kinetic weapons." Captain Blake smiled grimly. "That's what happens when you underestimate human creativity. All ships target their weapon systems. Let's see how they like fighting fair." The battle quickly spread across the solar system. Human ships darted between the larger alien vessels like angry wasps, striking fast and then moving away before the aliens could respond. Every human captain had studied the alien ships for days. Looking for weaknesses, Commander Jake Harrison led a squadron of fighters from Luna Prime. His small ships were no match for the alien cruisers in a direct fight. But they weren't trying to fight fair. "Remember, we're not here to destroy them," Harrison radioed to his pilots. "We're here to blind them. Hit their sensor arrays and communication dishes, make them fight deaf and dumb." The human fighters swarmed over the alien ships like insects, targeting the delicate equipment that allowed the fleet to coordinate their attacks. One by one, the alien ships began losing contact with their command vessel. Meanwhile, on Earth, the ground war had begun. Alien troops had landed in major cities, expecting to face panicked civilians. Instead, they found armed citizens ready to fight for their homes. In New York, Police Chief Martha Davis organized the resistance. "Remember, they're not invincible," she told her officers. "They bleed, which means they can die." The aliens had energy weapons and body armor, but they weren't prepared for human tactics. Citizens used the sewers and subway tunnels to move unseen. Snipers fired from rooftops and then disappeared. Every street became a battlefield, and every human was a potential threat. "Sir, we're taking heavy casualties in all urban areas," reported an alien soldier to his commander. "The humans are not fighting like a civilized species." "What do you mean?" the commander asked. "They're using guerrilla tactics. They attack and then fade away. They use their own infrastructure against us. They fight like like animals." The alien commander had never faced an enemy like this. Every species they had conquered before had tried to fight them ship to ship, army to army. The humans were fighting like their lives depended on it. Because they did in space, the battle was not going as the aliens had planned. Admiral Young's fleet was smaller, but they were fighting with the desperation of a cornered animal. Every human ship that was destroyed took at least one alien ship with it. Captain Blake's ship, the Defiance, was engaged in a running battle with 3 alien cruisers. Her ship was faster, but the aliens had more firepower. "Captain, we've lost shields," reported Lieutenant Patterson. "Hull damage on decks 7 through 9. "Keep us moving," Blake ordered. "Tommy, do we have any of those special presents left?" Ensign Tommy Carter grinned from his weapons station. "3 nuclear missiles, ma'am. Close range only." "Then let's get close." The Defiance turned toward the nearest alien ship, accelerating directly into the enemy's fire. The alien captain couldn't believe what he was seeing. The human ship was committing suicide, but Blake wasn't planning to die. At the last moment, she ordered a hard turn that brought her ship alongside the alien vessel. "Fire everything!" 3 nuclear warheads detonated against the alien ship's hull. The explosion lit up space like a small sun. When the light faded, the alien ship was breaking apart. "1 down, 2 to go," Blake said calmly. The battle raged for hours. Human ships were destroyed, but for every ship Earth lost, they took down 2 or 3 alien vessels. The aliens began to realize they were fighting an enemy unlike any they had faced before. In the alien flagship, the commander received reports from across the solar system. The news was all bad. "Sir, we've lost 8 ships in the orbital battle. Ground forces are requesting immediate evacuation from all urban areas. They cannot maintain control." "How is this possible?" the commander demanded. "They are primitives." "Sir, I don't think they are. Their technology is different from ours, but it's effective. And their tactics, they fight like they have nothing to lose." The commander studied the tactical display. His fleet was still larger than the human force, but the humans were fighting with a ferocity that was costing the aliens dearly. More importantly, the humans showed no signs of surrendering. "Sir, incoming transmission from the human fleet," reported the communications officer. "Put it on screen." Admiral Young appeared on the display. Her uniform was torn and there was blood on her face, but her eyes blazed with determination. "This is Admiral Patricia Young of the Earth Defense Fleet. You came here expecting to find helpless victims. Instead, you found warriors. We will never surrender. We will never submit. Every ship you destroy, we'll take 2 of yours. Every soldier you kill, 10 more will take their place." The Admiral paused, her voice growing cold. You made one fatal mistake. You threatened our children, you threatened our freedom, and humans will fight to the death to protect both. The transmission ended, leaving the alien commander staring at the blank screen. For the first time in his career, he was facing an enemy that couldn't be intimidated, couldn't be reasoned with, and wouldn't surrender. The humans were fighting with a desperation born of absolute necessity. They weren't just defending territory or resources. They were defending their very existence as a free species. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked his subordinate. The commander looked at the tactical display again. His fleet was being slowly destroyed by an enemy that shouldn't have been able to fight them at all. The humans had turned their entire planet into a fortress and every citizen into a soldier. "Prepare for withdrawal," he said quietly. "Sir, you heard me, we're leaving." "But the Council's orders." "The Council has never faced an enemy like this. These humans, they're not like the others. They're dangerous." As the alien fleet began to retreat, Captain Blake received new orders from Admiral Young. "All ships, pursue the enemy. We're going to make sure they understand the cost of threatening Earth." The human fleet, battered but unbroken, began chasing the aliens out of the solar system. The message was clear: Earth was not defenseless, and humanity would not go quietly into slavery. The aliens had promised protection, but they had discovered something else instead. They had discovered that some species didn't need protection from the galaxy. Some species were the thing the galaxy needed protection from. The Battle of Earth was ending, but the war for human freedom had just begun. The alien commander's decision to retreat came too late. Admiral Patricia Young's fleet was already moving to intercept the fleeing Zephyrian ships. The human vessels, smaller and faster than their alien counterparts, spread out in a hunting formation. "This is Admiral Young to all ships," her voice crackled over the communication system. "The enemy is running, but we're not letting them go. They need to understand that threatening Earth has consequences." Captain Susan Blake's ship, the Defiance, led the pursuit. Despite the damage from the earlier battle, her crew worked with grim determination. They had lost friends today, and they wanted to make sure the aliens remembered the cost. "Target there." "Engines," Blake ordered. "We want to disable them, not destroy them." "Why not destroy them, Captain?" asked Lieutenant Amy Patterson. "Because we want survivors to carry a message back to their masters." The human fleet caught up with the alien ships near Jupiter. The Zephyrians tried to fight, but their formation was broken and their morale was shattered. They had never faced an enemy that refused to surrender, and the psychological impact was devastating. One by one, the alien ships were disabled. Their engines failed, their weapons went silent, and they drifted helplessly in space. The humans surrounded them like hunters circling wounded prey. Admiral Young opened a communication channel to the alien flagship. "This is Admiral Young of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your invasion has failed. Your ships are disabled. Surrender now, and we'll let some of you live." The alien commander appeared on screen. His skin had turned a pale gray color, and his forearms trembled with fear. "This is impossible. We are the Zephyrian Collective. We have conquered 17 worlds. And now you've learned what happens when you pick on the wrong planet," Admiral Young replied. "Tell me about those 17 worlds." They are under our protection." "No, they're not. They're your slaves. We've seen your files. We know what you did to them." The Admiral's voice grew cold. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to give us the location of every one of those worlds. Then you're going home with a message." "What message?" "That humanity doesn't need protection from the galaxy. The galaxy needs protection from false protectors like you." While the space battle ended, Dr. Kevin Morris was working frantically in his laboratory. The captured alien databases contained detailed information about the 17 enslaved worlds. Population numbers, resource extraction schedules, and most importantly, their exact locations. "Look at this," he told his assistant Jenny Walsh. "World ZC-7 originally had 2.3 billion people. Now it has 340 million. The others are working in mines on different planets. Jenny studied the data. Can we help them? We have to try. These, people have been slaves for decades. They probably think they're the only ones left. Kevin opened a communication channel to President Rodriguez. Mr. President, we have the locations of all 17 enslaved worlds. We need to act fast. Within hours, President Rodriguez was addressing the world again. This time, his message was different. My fellow humans, he began. We have won the battle for Earth. The alien invasion has been defeated. But our work is not finished. He paused, looking directly into the camera. We have discovered that 17 other worlds are enslaved by these aliens. Billions of people are working in mines and factories, believing they are alone in the universe. We cannot let this continue. The president's voice grew stronger. Today, Earth stops being a target and becomes a protector. We're going to free every enslaved world in this galaxy. We're going to show the universe what real protection looks like. The response from around the world was immediate. Every nation began mobilizing their resources for a rescue mission unlike anything in human history. Ships were built, weapons were manufactured, and volunteers lined up to join the Liberation Fleet. Captain Blake found herself promoted to Admiral and put in charge of the first Liberation Fleet. Her mission was simple: find the nearest enslaved world and set it free. It's called Kepler 442b, she told her officers during their first briefing. The aliens call it ZC-3. It was a peaceful farming world with 1 billion people. Now it's a factory planet with 200 million slaves. What's our plan? Asked Commander Jeff Brown. We go in fast and hard. Destroy their guard ships, disable their control centers, and give the people their planet back. The journey to Kepler 442b took 3 weeks. When Blake's fleet arrived, they found a world that broke their hearts. The once green planet was covered in gray factories and mining operations. The cities were gone, replaced by massive industrial complexes surrounded by worker housing that looked like prison camps. "Dear God," whispered Lieutenant Patterson. "What have they done to this place?" Blake's jaw tightened. They turned it into a slave camp, but not anymore. All ships, begin the attack. The battle for Kepler 442b was swift and brutal. The alien guards were not expecting an attack, and they certainly weren't expecting humans. Blake's ships tore through their defenses like a hurricane through a house of cards. "Broadcasting on all frequencies," announced the communications officer. Blake picked up the microphone. "People of Kepler 442b, this is Admiral Susan Blake of the Human Liberation Fleet. We are here to free you. The Zephyrian Collective has been defeated. You are no longer slaves." The response came slowly at first. A few voices speaking in languages that the translation computers had to work hard to understand. Then more voices joined in, and more, until the entire planet seemed to be crying out at once. Are you real?" came one transmission. "We thought we were alone. We thought everyone else was gone." "You're not alone," Blake replied, "and you're not slaves anymore. Welcome back to the free galaxy." The liberation of Kepler 442b was just the beginning. Over the next year, human fleets spread across the galaxy, following the data from the alien databases. Each enslaved world was different, but the story was always the same. The Zephyrians had arrived promising protection, then turned the population into workers. Admiral Young led the liberation of a water world, where the people had been forced to harvest minerals from the ocean floor. Captain Torres freed a desert planet where millions worked in crystal mines. Commander Harrison liberated a frozen world where people had been processing rare metals in underground factories. Each liberation followed the same pattern: the human ships would arrive, destroy the alien guards, and broadcast a simple message: you are free. But humanity didn't just free the enslaved worlds and leave. They stayed to help rebuild. Earth sent doctors, teachers, engineers, and farmers. They shared their technology and their knowledge. Most importantly, they shared their philosophy that every being had the right to be free. Dr. Kevin Morris found himself traveling from world to world, helping to establish new governments and rebuild destroyed societies. Freedom isn't something you give to people, he would tell the newly liberated populations. It's something that belongs to them already. We're just helping them take it back. The Zephyrian Collective tried to stop the human liberation fleet, but their remaining ships were no match for Earth's growing navy. Every battle ended the same way, the aliens retreating and the humans advancing. After 6 months, the last enslaved world was freed. The Zephyrian Collective, once the terror of the galaxy, was reduced to a handful of ships hiding in empty space. President Rodriguez addressed the galaxy from the newly established Freedom Station, built in orbit around the first liberated world. To all species in the galaxy, he began. Humanity wants you to know that you are not alone. If anyone threatens your freedom, if anyone tries to enslave your people, if anyone promises protection while planning conquest, call for us. Earth will answer. The president paused, looking out at the stars. We learned something during our fight with the Zephyrians. The galaxy doesn't need protectors who take away freedom in the name of safety. The galaxy needs protectors who fight for freedom even when it's dangerous. He smiled. Humanity spent its entire history learning to fight for freedom. Now we're ready to fight for yours too. The message was broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. Within days, responses began coming in from species that had been hiding from the Zephyrians for centuries. They had heard about the humans who had defeated the collective and freed the enslaved worlds. The Free Worlds Alliance was born from those first contacts. 17 liberated worlds and dozens of species that had been in hiding joined together under human leadership. Their motto was simple: freedom for all, protection for none. The aliens had promised Earth protection, but they had discovered something far more dangerous than any external threat. They had discovered a species that believed freedom was worth fighting for, and worth dying for. The Zephyrian Collective never recovered from their defeat at Earth. Their empire crumbled as species after species rose up against them, inspired by humanity's example. The galaxy learned that the greatest protection against tyrants wasn't stronger walls or bigger weapons. It was the simple human belief that freedom belonged to everyone, and that some things were worth fighting for no matter the cost. Earth had answered the aliens' offer of protection with a question, from what? Now the galaxy knew the answer. They didn't need protection from external threats. They needed protection from those who would take away their freedom in the name of safety.